Hi, Roger. So, this morning I got up. I woke up in the middle of the night, and I was like, man, you know what? It was 2 a.m. local time. So I was like, I might as well stay up for Roger's 3 a.m. Tennis match. And once again, Roger, I have to say, you look so great. Of course, there were a lot of errors and stuff like that. I think that, since this is kind of like the second time that's gone on a bit, that you might want to figure out where you could tighten that up a bit, you know. And the reason why I think you can tighten it up a bit is because you have shaved down unforced errors in the past. So I don't know if it requires more focus or if some things were just a natural mistake. Um, but in order to do yourself, obviously, the best favor and give yourself the best chances, it would be to sit down and just say, does this require more focus or whatever the case may be for the solution. Um, I have to tell you though, once again, you looked fantastic. So, just good luck with everything. Saturday you play Tomic. I mean, this whole thing with Tomic, of course, because I'm a fan of yours. I'm just like, Tomic needs to sit his ass down. You know what I mean? Because you straight owned his ass last year. Straight owned him. Okay, I mean, my God. Um, but anyway, maybe again I shouldn't be probably leaking these things into your video, but Roger, as long as you continue to really stay focused and be, really trust yourself, like really just trust yourself. You are going to win. So I heard your interview afterward or whatever, and you could have continued to go on about Tomic. I would have taken the road like, you know what, you're Roger Federer. Like Tomic is like a piece of lint, which actually this sweater I have on seems to attract every bit of lint, no matter whether or not I use the lint brush or not. Um, it's pretty awful right now. But anyway, I mean, Tomic is just basically a piece of lint. And I mean, yeah, he beats yeah, he's talented, don't get me wrong, but you know what, this is a guy who has trouble staying focused, has a lot of issues. Didn't they like decide to remove him from playing Davis Cup or something like that? I don't even pay that much attention to Tomic like that, but his attitude, his mind frame is problematic. And yeah, he beat Joker a couple weeks ago, but that was an exhibition match, as far as I remember and understand. And it doesn't mean that Tomic isn't um, talented. But if you ask me, like my own personal beliefs, like if you're not coming out of the box at 17, like if you're pro at like 17, 18, 19, what have you, and you're not like coming out the box, like coming in and beating people, like how Djokovic came on the scene kind of um in Montreal or whatever, like he burst on the scene and like he was able to like get past both you and Rafa, or whatever. Like for me it's like if you're not coming on the scene like that, it just I don't really, I'm beginning to think after watching tennis for so many years now personally that it's an indication to a certain extent, just to a certain extent, of maybe some lack of consistency or maybe even maturity. But still, there's, at the end of the day, there's something in your tennis game that still isn't up to par if you come on the scene, you haven't like broken into the top. And now I know you personally like developed over time and stuff like that, but I just don't feel that that's like everybody's story, where everyone kind of is what it seems like you describe as a late bloomer. I just don't. But if Tomic's gonna do something, it should show up between this year and next and stuff like that. And then you have other people who are good, like like Isner seems like the most promising out of everyone. And then it's also of course Milos or whatever. But you see these guys and you don't see these guys. Donald Young too, I think is talented, but then when I see him play against someone like you, it's like clearly you can see why there's, why you hardly see these people, because there is something lacking, even though you can't put your finger on it, even though you could see like these people are fiercely, a lot of these guys and girls too, fiercely talented, but there's a reason why they haven't broken into the top 20. There's a reason why they haven't broken into the top 10 and kept their foothold there. So I really honestly don't see you see it as a problem. Is you just kicking Tomic into his own place, as far as like, I don't know if you're gonna get into top 10, dude. Let your racket speak first of all. You know what? And it's kind of like me just speaking for you as a fan. It's kind of like, all right, Roger Federer has let his racket speak, okay? He's not the type of person to get out there and just talk crap against legends and stuff, people who have already really built up a high profile, and that, again, that may be part of, Tomic's, like, just immature, not, there's a lack of development there, and, as a matter of fact, like I was saying, he has, like, a lot of problems. There was also that fiasco where he wanted his dad to be kicked out. So obviously there are like some family issues there, and I'm not talking down about him like he's the only one with family issues, because it wouldn't be true. I'd be a hypocrite if I said anything like that. But I'm just saying, like, clearly there's some lack of equilibrium on the home front, so to speak. So, with his behavior, so it's a little erratic, a little bit. So, as far as I'm concerned, like, your attitude, it should be just like you said, like, I don't know if Tomic is playing first or second. You know what? I made my dinner plans. Like, brush that piece of lint off your shoulder, Roger. You know what I mean? That someone like Tomic doesn't necessarily even deserve an answer for you to be like, I mean, you said what you needed to say. I totally get it. But he doesn't even deserve or have even earned the right to have such an answer or so much energy from you in this manner. Like, oh, you know what you said this morning, for you, probably nighttime. That, he's right about saying if he's going to be, successful, this is the right time or whatever, to be victorious in his matches. And, it's just kind of like, you know what? I would pull it like down to every tennis player. Like, well, instead of like saying, well, let me just say it. Instead of like saying, oh, well, he's right. But then again, what I'm not blaming you for anything, like when people ask you questions and stuff like that, who knows the way an answer is going to come out. I can't figure out everything all the time, but I don't even feel like he even deserved that much energy from you. You know what I mean? Like, he just doesn't deserve it. And, especially the attitude that he's taken. But, he, he's, I feel like the answer should have been like, well, every tennis player needs to believe in themselves, and if they're not going to come to win, then what are they going to play for? You know what I mean? So yeah, we all know that Tomic, obviously that's the right attitude to have, and just keep it moving. I just, feel like, what, no comment on him. You know what? I'm one at this point in time. Like, I would have been dying. I would have been like, oh my God, Roger, if you said this. I'm just one, like, I just feel like this talk between me and Tomic is just really useless. I'm on a total different mission and area in my life. I have my accolades. Like, I really would have gone there. Feel like, we'll just have to see what happens. If we'll just let whatever speak on the court. There's no need to keep speaking in the media. We'll just let it speak on the court. I'd have been like, oh my gosh, Roger! Go, Roger! But anyway, I think he was a little hypersensitive about you saying first he has to get to the third round, because when I personally read that, I didn't hear you say it, but when I read it, I assumed that you were just kind of telling the media, first calm down, you know, as a tennis player, Tomic has to focus on the first round, second round, third round. And I don't think that that was a shot, because you've always been pretty respectful, as far as I could see, that you've always been excited about the younger players and stuff like that. So my impression when I read that you said that was, it was just really innocent. So he didn't, for me, it's like, you didn't even need to take it there. You know what I mean? Like, for real? Because I'm a fan. Like, you don't even need to take it there, Thomas. Especially because your ass got owned last year. So anyway, Roger, I really spent a lot of time on that. Speaking of the fact that he doesn't deserve any real time, brush that piece of lint off. Anyways, Jay-Z. I hate Jay-Z. Actually, I want. Well, yeah, that's another conversation. And I'm quoting Jay-Z. Brush it off. So I saw part of your interview afterward, and you know, you were really honest about a lot of, or transparent, let me put it like that. And I'm not sure, you know, just being a fan of stuff and continuing in the tradition of my videos, which could possibly seem like a bunch of nitpicking at this point, I'm sorry. But I feel like some of your answers were a little transparent. Like, I don't feel, you know, that people deserve to know, certain things that you said yesterday. I just kind of went a little bit blank. But things like, you know, like you said, you know, you were just being honest, and the answers were beautiful. But this is the Australian Open, and there's a lot at stake. You know, the media is pushing up, you know, pushing up the other two guys and stuff like that, and I'm sure that somehow that's leaking, you know, even if you're not reading the newspapers and stuff like that, that's always leaking. But, you know, you're always, you know, the media always pushes you as having a good chance, you know. They're kind of, it's a schizophrenic type of thing. And the only thing that I'm saying to you is that this is a time in your career now, Roger, where you are going to have to go within. Like, you're going to have to return to going within. Like, you're going to have to get all of your strength inside. Because I feel like, you know, when I hear you on TV and stuff, and I love your honesty, and you know I love you. Love you. You know what I mean? No, love Roger Federer. So anyway, whatever. But when I hear you say that you want to prove it to yourself that you can do this, and prove it to your fans that you can do this, I want to tell you as a fan, from my heart to yours, that you don't need to prove anything to me, because I actually am completely convinced, and I already know that you can do this. Even if you know, even if something happened where you didn't do this, I know your ability. Like, I know, and I believe in my assessment. And this doesn't even necessarily have to do with you. Like, I believe strongly in my assessments. And I you know, if I'm guilty of anything with the type of mind that I have, is that it analyzes a lot. And it you know, if you've seen my videos all these months, you know, like me, a little bit how my brain works, you know, like even the style of talking. Like, sometimes I can't complete a point because another thought is coming through and I need to clarify that. You know, I'm trying to work on it, but it's the way it happens. But I'm just saying, like, I have a very analytical brain, and I know when I see talent, and I know when I see ability, and I also like to keep it real, and I would never sit here on a video and say that you could not take this entire tournament if I truly and wholeheartedly did not believe that in my heart. I know you can do this. So for me, what you said is you want to prove this to yourself, and maybe that's where the issue is, and maybe that's where, as a fan, like, I'm just stepping to you a little bit, you know, just trying to, you know, fight for the Federer interest, as I've said in the past, like, fight for the Federer interest. And you know, it's not, no one could be, you know, 100% on mentally, I suppose, every moment of the day. I mean, I have my own challenges. As a matter of fact, something I was talking to you about in a video the other day, like, I was talking about an issue that I had with a friend, and she was saying every single thing I was telling you about myself that I had struggled with, she hadn't even seen the video. Never mind the video. Most of my friends don't even know I make these videos. But because that's something very private and important to me. And that's the way I keep my energy to do these videos. I don't let many people know about them because, otherwise my best might, I'd be supported in it, but, they're long, and I'm afraid, somebody through criticism or something like that would actually take away from me honoring what's going on and what I need to do by making these videos. I still don't even know why. And so, see, I went off track again, but I had some issues I was talking about in a video a couple of videos back. I had on the like pink scarf or whatever, and my friend was saying exactly a lot of the things I was talking about in the video that I sort of felt like I knew about, and I was trying to overcome and stuff like that. But when she's telling me I'm still sort of in that consciousness a bit, when I think I'm not, when I feel that I have, addressed things and moved on and it hasn't happened, and so I just say all of that to say, like, no one's perfect, and I support you, and as far as building up and dealing with pressure and fear, legacy, anxiety, all those factors and stuff. Oh, let me get it together here. It just doesn't look neat. That it's a moment to moment process, so I don't want you to think that I'm like, oh my gosh, you just not, I don't feel like you're believing in yourself again. But I do get the sense that, I feel like your head is turned by the media rather than hearing the inner voice. That's what I feel. And because I just feel that you would be able to, your wording would have possibly been different if you didn't say you feel like you need to prove this to yourself or whatever. And it's good to prove things, obviously, And by the way, I've never won an Australian Open championship. So, you've got all of that over me. So I'm just saying, I'm just here, just talking about the small points, and stuff like that. You have achieved a number of things. And, I just, as a fan, like, I don't want to step off not reminding you of how much of a champion you are and how much you can beat these guys. It doesn't matter how good they're looking, how great they're playing, how fast they're playing through points and stuff like that. Like, I think in this Australian Open, you should stop watching their matches. Like, you should leave. Murray long enough. When you have records with somebody like, 10 and 12, that's like 22 times you've played them. And what is it, with Rafa? You guys have played each other like 28 or 29 times. With Djokovic, you've probably played over 20 times. So I just feel like when the mind is kind of starting to suffer, it really means that you kind of step out. You're like looking more about what's outside than what's in. You're not looking back and saying, you know what, I've personally gone through both of these guys, and I'm just bringing those two up because they're just the biggest two. I realize you have to go through other people, but you had the winning record, Roger, pretty much. I'm sure you have the winning record over Tomic. I'm sure you have the winning record over anyone who's up and coming through the draw. I'm not sure what your record is against Tsonga, but I'm pretty sure that you have the winning record with him. And I think personally, out of everyone, with the exception of Murray, who only has, I think, like just one win over you at this point, or possibly two. I think it's just one. That you actually, the only person who has a winning record on you that I could think of at this moment in time is Jill Simone. And Jill Simone's not even playing against you. He has to go play with Tsonga, I think, today or tomorrow or Saturday, whatever, I don't know. So you won't even be seeing him. So it's just a sign, like, I feel like you're not going back to the facts. And the facts are that you actually had Djokovic, you actually were ahead of Djokovic in the World Tour Finals. You actually were playing better than Djokovic. You made a lot of errors, which was part of it. But also another part of it is the fact of Djokovic's unwavering resilience. And that's what you've got to get into, Roger. Like the unwavering resilience in the tough moments. And I'm not saying that you don't know how to manage tough moments, but I'm just saying that all of this feedback and stuff, and the way the media affects you, and it's not just you. You know what I mean? It happens to a lot of people in professional sports. Let's just say. I mean, they were talking about Tiger Woods the other day too. I think it was just yesterday, they were saying, oh, some people are like, oh, Tiger Woods has lost it. But the fact is, for me, I think of Tiger Woods, all the situation in his personal life, and probably that being aired out in his professional life in front of a world platform, such a personal issue. Not only so personal for his wife, but so personal for him as well, and to be looked at in this manner has definitely probably closed off a lot of mental channels within him, so he can't tap in to have that focus to be successful. I know nothing about golf. Birdies, par, I have no idea. -3, -5, whatever, under par, over par, I don't know, but ever since then, pretty much, I mean, he hasn't been able to really pull off of much of a performance. And it's not because all of a sudden, oh my God, Tiger Woods lost it. The body doesn't forget the mechanics, the mental, the mechanics, the swing, the understanding of the mathematics between the swing, the type of swing, with the type of club or whatever that you use in order to hit something 300 yards away, down a hill. Like, he's done all of this before. He's practiced. He's put in countless hours. You know what I mean? Just like you've put in a whole lifetime of work under one subject. You know what I mean? It's kind of like not with the average person who just plays field hockey for 1 year in high school and goes to track and then just works in an office the rest of their life. Like, you guys have really put in tons of hours. So you guys know this. It's the mental part of all of this that is taking its toll. And that's clearly the case with him, because no one just loses their talent overnight. People are talking about Tiger like he's lost it, but then, and he's 37. I'm like, well, that's ridiculous. He's 37. That doesn't mean anything. What about people like Jack Nicklaus? Or, what about all these people play in their 60s who have been winning? So, talking about being 37 has, he's a baby considering how these other golf pros have been on tour. Traveling, changing different time zones, not having much of a break off, because it's a long season. But I'm just saying, like, if you can look at that and see, once something pulls you out of your own personal sphere, when you are out of contact and out of alignment with yourself, that's when there's so much room for all of that self-doubt. And trust me, when I say I'm talking about all this stuff with you, Roger, I'm not saying that I'm perfect. Like, I'm dealing with a lot of the same issues, and perhaps I'm not even handling them as good as you. You know what I mean? Some of them, because like, like I said, I haven't won an Australian Open. I haven't won, at Wimbledon. I'd love to, you know what I mean? But I'm just saying, and I definitely could play bigger in my life, and I'm definitely working on that, and I'm definitely working on getting things out of my head, like family issues, and also, I guess since I'm always talking so much about you and analyzing you, I could put some of my own personal situation here. But, ever since my father died, too, it's like brought up family issues and family patterns, and me sort of playing small in family patterns and allowing certain types of treatments or absence of treatments, and or things that I have absorbed as a child, how to play small in certain areas in order to be safe, in order to survive in the family pattern, in order to not have confrontation. You know what I mean? And then there's the blaming, which maybe it sounds like just a second ago I was like blaming someone, so I just say all that to say, like, you're not the only one. Like, the fact that I sit in these videos is not like I'm like, oh, something is so wrong with you, no, everyone's going through this on some level. But when you, getting back to you, when you say you want to prove it to yourself and prove it to your fans that you could win this, I'm telling you right now, from my heart to yours, and you know me, if you've watched my videos for, me for almost a year, through my videos, at least my candor and disposition maybe on in these videos, and what I comment on, and what I try to tell the truth and be honest about, that from my heart to yours, I'm telling you, Roger Federer, I know you could take this Australian Open title, go right through each one of these guys, taking it point by point, second by second, but really paying attention to your unforced errors once again. But keep playing, because, you look fantastic, I have to tell you. When you're not making those errors, like, my God, the shots you're pulling off, the speed that you're pulling them off, is great. And keep working with people who are jamming you in your backhand, jamming you and stuff like that. Because I think you were vulnerable a couple times with that. But I'm just telling you, from my heart to yours, like, for me and your true fans, the people who know you, like people who are, and people who aren't even your fans, who just can see true ability, in its authenticity, know that you could take this. They know there's going to be some work, but no, you're going to take it. And what's going to happen is the work isn't so much all of the exhaustion and playing around. That's a portion of it, but sports is 90% mental, and I would probably go to say that sports is 45% mental, and it's 10% physical. The saying that sports is 90% mental. All right, so I will go as far as to pretty much say that sports is probably, at this point, it's 45% mental, and it's 45% heart, heart focus, mental, and the management of those two things, the belief system, and then 10% physical. If any of that made any sense to you. So I just wanted you to know, like, just keep focusing, and know that, as a fan, I say you really have nothing to say you could prove to me once again, because I already know, like, I know you can get through these guys. Like, I know what you did. I saw what you did at the World Tour Finals, and granted, maybe you think, oh, that's an indoor court, oh, this, like, maybe you're making excuses, like when I say, oh, Roger, you can do this, and you're like, oh, well, I don't know, because, it was an indoor court, and, so-and-so's a hard court player, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? If you look at your matches again with Djokovic, you, Roger Federer, have been your biggest opponent, and how many times have I said that in my videos? Whether we go back to Rome or we go back to Roland Garros, you had twice as many unforced errors as Djokovic. It's not about these guys overplaying you. You can do this. You've got to just get into the source of that truth and belief, and just hold on to the numbers and absolutely shut off the media. And you've got to understand that in this point in your career, and I think I went off on a tangent before and didn't finish this point. At this point in your career, you have to understand, I guess, a lot of people have been seeing you win for many, 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 many years now, which is terrific and fine. But the press is always trying to spin new things. And that's their machine, that's their animal, that's their method of operation. It has nothing to do with you personally. So for me, it seems like a little bit of an indicator that some of the media in the past, some of the validation of the media was also wind beneath your wings. But that's true with any human being. You know, if you don't get validation from your family and your immediate friends, then you have issues of self-doubt. But what it's going to take at this point in your career, Roger, is for you to really realize that there's a shift going on now, that you have to like turn within and dig deep and know your own truth, you know, and really know what's toxic and what's going to trigger doubt and what's going to trigger a fear and what's going to trigger you and pull you out of yourself and start questioning yourself. Well, I sort of don't know. You know, I'm watching this match. He looks good. And so-and-so's talking about he's flawless. And, oh my gosh, he's at the best and highest in his game. And I don't know if I could do this. You know, you've got, at this point in time, Roger, you want to stay on track. And you want to keep going and staying in the truth, you know. And also, if you want to do something, if you want to take on a mission where you want to prove something to yourself and your followers, is that you can function when there's no path before you, because that's what you're doing. You're doing stuff that no one has done yet. You know, you're walking down a path that it doesn't exist. You're creating the path, so other people will come behind you. You know, like trailblazer, pathfinder. You know, like when you're walking through the woods and stuff like that, and you see a path. Somebody is already, you know, there's forest all around. There's, you know, of course you could walk through the grass, but someone has already been down that way, and they've created a way for you to follow, which is much easier. So you're creating a path. You're actually the first one making your steps. So, you know, you've got to, you know, really make an effort to turn within and dig deep and understand the truth of yourself. Now, you know, and that is going to require maybe some things that you didn't do in the past. Like I said, get in a mental coach. I think you absolutely just don't want to do, because I don't think that's happened, because of what I keep seeing every tournament, you know. I see you saying positive things. I see you doing all of that, but then I see errors that don't make sense. And I'm saying that from a loving place. And then, although I know there, you know, you're going to make the average, you know, it's human to make errors. But I'm just seeing some things, you know, and you've just got to know that you've got to, you know, you're defining a new era, and it's going to require you to do some things different. You're not going to have success by doing the same thing. And I'll say that note to self, too, as I say it to you. So I would say for you, you know Murray, you know Djokovic, and you don't need to really watch these guys, I don't think, you know. At this point in time, I don't think it's helping. You know what I mean? I think what you need to be doing is building yourself up, understanding that, you know, building up on the truth that of your record with these guys this year. Sure, they had some wins over you, but you've had wins over them as well. And, you know, I mean, Madrid was also a tough draw that you got. There were a number of tough draws that you got, but you got through each and every stage and you won, you know. Other people crashed out. Other people allowed their attitudes, you know, at Madrid to help them to crash out and stuff like that. But you went on to Indian Wells. You took five titles, was it? Or no, 6 titles, and Wimbledon. You've got to know what you're doing. You've got to know. You've got to believe. Like, and it's gonna be a lonely road, you know. And it's a lot of times when they say it's lonely at the top, this is what it means. Like, you cannot continue to depend on indirect feedback and validation. And when I say this, I'm not saying that you're like, oh, please approve of me. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, now that the media, you know, they're trying to build up new stories, new players, and maybe even the ATP sort of supports that too, because there's a new transition. How are they going to keep people interested in the future players coming, the people who are going to be playing over for the next 20 years, the next 15 years, or whatever. So, you know, just got to see the situation for what it is. Stop paying attention to the media. And that doesn't mean just not reading the newspaper, but also, Understanding that the commentators have a job. These people are just doing stuff to keep their own job, and they're, you know, building up players. It's like one thing that I learned in radio, my radio course, is that even when something isn't interesting, you need to make it sound interesting. Even if someone isn't that great, you need to make them sound great when you're broadcasting about them. So we've kind of gone through that, and I remember one match where everyone was like, oh, Wickmeyer, she's a female player from Belgium, I think. Oh, Wickmeyer, oh, but she's just great, and la 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 la, and you hardly see Wickmeyer, you know what I mean? Hardly see her, and they've done that with other players as well. If you ask me, it seems like if a lot of these younger players, Harrisons, the Donalds, Youngs, the Tomiches, if they don't get it together, you know what I mean? Tennis isn't going to be that interesting in the next 6 years, I mean, or 7 years, let's say. Maybe Djokovic will be retiring by then. I don't think that they're going to have, Djokovic might have a lot of longevity, but I just don't kind of feel like Murray would, you know, have the same type of physical longevity physically that will allow him to consistently play into his 30s. But I could be wrong. I don't know. It's just an assessment. But anyway, I really didn't mean to make this video this long because I know you don't have a lot of time, and I put up 3 other videos already, and I'm just like, can you even watch those? I hope that you are watching them, because I hope that you're, remembering what you can do. Like, what is your championship contract, Roger? Like, how are you going to act in every moment? How are you going to act when adversity is really tough? How do you want to approach any possible tie breaks? How do you want to approach playing in the heat? How do you want to approach playing yourself, when your own opponent comes up, when your own self-opponent comes into the game, and you really end up playing against that person, instead of the person across the net. So, again, Roger, you can totally do this. You can get through these guys, but it's gotta be, by really believing in yourself and really returning within, and not equating maybe people asking you questions about this one and that one and telling you this one did well or whatever, not confusing that in your own mind as thinking like, oh, I'm not doing as well as I should be. What you need to understand is, again, like I said, the difference is that this tennis is also a business, and people have been watching you win for many years now. And so now it's the media's job, it's the ATP World Tour's job to develop new people, new players, to put a focus on Djokovic, and then put a focus on Murray, because that's extra money coming in from the UK. You know what I mean? More articles being generated, more this, more that. But at the end of the day, you still always have the respect of the people. But, let's get serious here about what it is. It's about making money. It's about the tennis world even worrying, like, in the next 6 years. Let's just say you play for 6 to 9 more years. What the hell? Let's say 6 to 9 more years you play. Besides Djokovic and Murray, who knows how long they're gonna go? If their career, let's just say, they'll be 31 in 6 years, or 30, 32, 33 seems like typically the average age, I guess, where most people have retired. And I don't think if people enjoy tour as much as you do. You know what I mean? I think you've been really successful, and the signs are, with your wife, with the children, doing all this press, spending all this time. Like, I don't think other people enjoy the process as much as you do. So you need to really recognize that. And again, by my saying that, I mean, I'm just pointing to illustrate that I'm not sure that Djokovic will, play past 33 years of age. So for him, that's maybe 8 years. So or 7.5 years. I don't think Murray physically, for me personally, I just feel like he will have wear and tear on the body, and I don't feel like he is that type of person. But I don't know, anything's possible. But all I'm saying is that understand the line between tennis being a business and how they need to build up new players and different things like that and create new stories, so that people stay interested, because we're where the money comes from, the people. So it's a business. So just remember that now at this point in your career, you cannot derive that energy. You've always had faith in yourself. Clearly, I'm not saying that you didn't. You don't. Clearly, you have faith in yourself and belief in yourself. But there's still that component of having that validation from the media, having that validation from the public. And at this point in time, it's just realistic to say that you don't want to, it's just not, you can't depend on that anymore. You've got to be within now. You've got to be within, really telling yourself, waking up and saying, I'm ready to do this. I've been doing this. I have answers. I'm performing at the top. I'm number 2 in the world. I'm doing amazing at third. Like, you have to really tell yourself this, and you could tell yourself anything in your own mind, to never mind about the public going, oh, so and so's not so humble. Listen, screw that. Muhammad Ali was so successful because he just told himself he was the best all the time. You know what I mean? People who do a lot of trash talking as well, they're telling themselves they're the best, and they're telling their opponent, you're not the best. And you know what? That's how it's going to be for people to win. Like Jordan, he was the biggest trash talker. You never know, because he seemed all innocent on TV. But, it's widely rumored he talks so much trash on the court, and stuff like that. So you've got to, like, keep that mental thing going. And then I remember you telling me, not telling me, but telling the media as well about Tiger Woods, and how Tiger Woods, like, you gotta go hard, gotta think you're the best, you gotta la. It's not that you don't think you're the best, but I'm just saying, like, if you're not getting validation from the outer world, you gotta start being your best friend and be like, dude, you look good last night. Nobody could touch you. Like, you need to stand in the mirror and be like, nobody could touch you. You know what I mean? Like, look at how many titles I won last year. Pretty much more than anyone else on tour. Look at how long I've gone. Look at how I've built up everything. I'm ready to do this. Like, get yourself, like, really pumped up. And just know, like, if there's any energy leaks, it's like, okay, like you said last night, oh, some of my returns could have been better. Then say, you know what? My returns are good. You know what I mean? I go out and I return great today. I hit the line in everything I do. I flow from, mental, because I know how to do it. Like, you gotta, maybe that's not your style, but figure out a way that really works for you, Roger. So, good luck with that. I hope you're doing, like, the yoga nidra stuff, because, if you're preparing and you're not, like, out doing sort of the old things, like, I hope, frankly, between me and you, I can never tell you anything about your personal life, but I'm just saying now, you know what you want to do these 2 weeks, and you've got to know how to, and I'm not saying you don't know how to do this, but you got to one has to know when to use the weed killer, and when I say weed killer, it's what comes to mind. Like, you have to know what feeds your doubts, what vitalizes your doubts, and you've got to stranglehold it. If you're going out at night or whatever, if you're, like, hanging out with friends and you come back, you've had a couple of drinks or whatever, I don't know. I don't really want to get into your personal life or anything, but I'm just saying, like, if you're doing things are going to make you somehow have, like, a doubt, an energy leak, like, with doubt and stuff like that, you've got to shut that door. You know what I mean? If it means, like, all right, I'm going to order in. I'm going to have my dinner in for the next couple days because, I really need to remain focused, or whatever. And maybe that's no issue for you, but I'm just saying, I've got to make sure I practice this aspect or that aspect, or I've got to make sure that I remember to tell myself that I'm going to do well, that I'm totally capable. I'm creating. I'm the pathfinder. I'm creating all the reality here. You know what I mean? I'm doing things that people haven't done before. That's right, Roger Federer. I say you're going straight Star Trek. Going where no man has gone before, okay? You're creating the path. You're creating it. So whatever, you've got to turn within, because you don't necessarily have the media anymore. You don't necessarily you're not going to have any other players. Nobody's going to be sitting there all the time going, he's the greatest of all time, oh, he really trumped me, this, that, and that. Even when you're beating guys, they're not going to sit here and admit that, because they're so busy preserving their own minds. They're never going to say much about you other than little things, you know what I mean? So, and that's right for them to do that, and that's exactly what you should be doing as well. So you've got to do this. That's what's gonna get you to the win. You have nothing to prove to me as far as ability to do this, because I know you could do this. I know you could get through every single one of these guys. You play your cards right, meaning you stay extra hydrated. You pay attention to your body a lot more, like I was saying the other day, even more than usual. You make sure the mental game is on, and no unforced like, you can't really have all those unforced errors, like, you know lovingly said from me to you. You can't have all those unforced errors. And I'm going to tell you something else too. It's not helping you to be performing like that on TV, because you're indirectly giving other players confidence, which makes your road harder. Somebody, you're giving somebody else a little bit of confidence, even though that's kind of relative, because you were playing extremely well. Like, at the same time, I'm serious, this is no lie, you were playing extremely well, you look so good. But those errors, you gotta cut that out, and that's gonna help you be your own best friend, as far as not giving other people confidence in food to be able to play harder against you, psychological nutrition for them. So it's 46 minutes. I wanted to really cut this down, but it is what it is. Good luck with everything. I'm there for you. I know you can do this. Keep the faith. You know what I mean? Like, start pumping yourself up. That's what you've got to do. I feel like you're like, you're maybe possibly getting deflated in some ways because of the media, and you've got to stay within. You've got to hear your own voice now. You've got to look over your titles. You've got, that you won. You got to see how you performed against, you were able to perform very well against Djokovic. Only you did a lot of errors at the World Tour Finals. You performed well against Djokovic at Wimbledon, and then you went through Murray. You performed well against him as well. So you have to keep yourself 100% positive, because these guys, this is not going to help you at all when you're going to beat these guys. You're going to need everything, be 100% on. Be 100% on and you can do it. You know what I mean? Just be on and you can do it. But right now, just saying you need to prove this to yourself and stuff like that. I'm here as a fan, fighting for the Federer interest, saying, you know what, that's an energy leak. So you've got to start talking to yourself. You got to put together a new routine. All right? I know I'm repeating myself like over and over again, so I'm going to go. Good luck with everything. Talk to you. Bye.